Welcome everyone to the Package Group Weekly Sync for the 20th of January 2020. And I think you have the first item, Ian.
Great. I wanted to take a moment to respond to something that came up last week during this call in terms of the UX and content reviews and how they were kind of slowing down the MR process. Discussed it with some other designers as well as the tech writers and got some advice on how we should handle that moving forward. So I can go through them real quick. First one is that if it's a UI text change, which needs to be reviewed by content, we're going to do that during the design phase instead of the MR phase, so that doesn't become an issue. That means that the product designer, me, will be responsible for checking the UI copy changes in the MR. So we're trying to move that out a little bit. A couple of people suggested that during the MR review process, have the UX review first, because sometimes the experience changes can have a lot of code changes and going back and forth can be tricky. I've heard that from a few people that it works really well, and then I've heard from a couple of people that it's frustrating. So just something that we could try out. For small changes to the documentation, I can go ahead as the product designer and look at it. If this is an update to the screenshot or something minor, I can do the check-in and we don't necessarily have to bring in Axel or a tech writer to review it. And then it'll be up to me as the product designer to say, this is a pretty big copy change. We need to get a tech writer here to review it because it's decent and we need to check that. So that should hopefully speed up the MR review. We're trying to get basically as many of the reviews as we can that I can handle, as opposed to needing the tech writing to come in as well. So hopefully that will speed things up. Axel, who is not here, had an additional note, so I'm going to read it for him. Now that the tech writing team is growing, there are some changes planned in the next few milestones. I'll be handling 2 to 3 stages to some of my fellow tech writers, and I'll be working on package. This will give me more time to focus on the stage and speed up the reviews. Here's the reallocation sheet if you're interested. There's a link in the agenda and then a handbook page as well. Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts on that?
Yep. So while you were talking about keeping the copy change in the issue, a question comes out. What is the source of truth for the copy, or what we plan it to be? It's going to be the design in the design tab, it's going to be in the issue description, it's going to be in the screenshot in the issue description, because sometimes those are different. It's hard to understand which is the latest copy that we want.
Yeah, for sure. I think moving forward, I would like whatever design is showing in the issue description is a single source of truth, and I will work to make sure as designs get updated that is always the single source of truth option. If I miss it, feel free to call me on it, but I will work on making sure it stays that way. So we can have just one single source of truth. It's kind of the goal.
So the design in the design tab is for iteration, and the one in the issue description is the spotlight.
Exactly. We should be using the design tab for kind of discussions on the design itself. And then the issue description is the source of truth of what we're working on. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Does that stand up to GitLab awesomeness, Dan?
Did we change the handbook? Was my question that I wrote out in the agenda.
No, we did not.
So yeah, I mean, I think if you're sort of trialing it as something we do with the package group, then maybe you don't change the whole handbook, and maybe just change our handbook page. But it seems like if this is happening to other groups, then we might want to make this a more global change and sort of propose it in the handbook so that other people can sort of look at it. So that would probably be my suggestion.
Great, I will do that. There aren't any other questions. I think Dan is up next.
Can someone take the notes of no, it's not, and we're going to change it in the team page, please? Thank you. Yeah, so we had a few missed deliverables recently that I would like to, and my wording in the actual agenda was not the best, so I apologize for that, but I would like to start sort of tracking why we missed the deliverable. So when that's like a simple issue that we commit to doing, maybe it's just a note in the comments of that issue, what happened, why we did it, why it got missed and what the outcome was, and so how we can solve that. I want to avoid patterns of missing things for reasons that we could predict. Some of this will just help me get a clearer picture in a more sort of normalized way. I added an MR there that I did not merge yet. So I am encouraging discussion and feedback on this rather than, as I said, my wording in here didn't imply as much. But I would like to hear people's thoughts on whether they think this would be valuable or if there are any concerns I'm missing. Really the goal is to learn from whatever misses we have so that we can avoid them in future. David has created a retro type situation post-mortem on NuGet where we had a miss, and it has added a link so we could check that. So that's like for larger things, like when we have a whole, when we commit to a feature and that slips milestones, we really want to be aware of why and what happened. And again, sort of normal blameless type thing. This is no one's getting a finger pointed at them. This is sort of more like, okay, well, how can we avoid some of this in future? Haley, you wanted to have a comment? Oh no, is that a separate issue?
Yeah, it's separate.
Oh, okay. David, did you want to comment at all on the post-mortem, NuGet post-mortem?
It's my next point when it's my turn.
Oh, okay. Sorry, those were like slid in. I thought they were the same subject, and that's how I'm confused. So does anyone have any comments or questions about the retrospectives on this deliverables idea? Cool. Okay, so go take a look at it though. I'm not just sort of doing this because I get to make changes whenever I feel like I want to get people's feedback to make sure it makes sense. Thank you. Haley?
Yeah. And I want to apologize, Dan. The reason you're confused is I did put it under this, but it seemed it's kind of tangential, so I didn't know. So I promoted it.
I think I'm often confused anyway, so it's probably okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're working out a release process for the container registry. There's a number of there's a number of projects that need to be updated for us to have the container registry updated in all the places it needs to be is somewhat somewhat spread out as far as the terms of what we need to do. And so, yeah, it's good to have a process for this just so we can keep track at the very least. Yep. And over to David.
So speaking of the NuGet postmortem, I added the link to it. Any feedback would be welcome. Please note that this is private for now, but I guess it should go public once it's stable and the review is done.
Yeah, I would say like as a team, we can take a look at the format of it and make sure that nothing is missing that we feel like should be in there. And then once we're happy with that, this should go into a public place so that we can let our customers and the rest of our team know, what we feel like happened and what we're going to do about it. How long do people feel like it'd be good to review this post-mortem? Like middle of the week, by end of the week? What works for people here?
I guess we can let it run for 1 week and release it next week.
Okay, and I would say that sounds fine to me. I think we would say that we, next time we have, hopefully not next time, but if we do have another misdeliverable that will go straight public. This is not a standardized sort of let's always do it private first. You could do it confidential first if you'd like, but it would be in a shared, probably in the normal repo where you're doing the work, where it would be ending up, I think, or the project, I should say. Cool, but we can continue discussing that there. Thanks, David. And
Okay.
you have the next item too.
So my next point, while I was waiting for my reviews, I took a shot at the seed script for GitLab, and I tried to improve them for the package team. So you can see the 3 MRs I did. And again, any feedback would be welcome, or if you want more options or whatever. So for those who don't know what seed scripts are, it's when you install JDK and GitLab locally, you can just run a rake setup or Rails setup, whatever, and it will just initialize all the database structure and fill it with projects and users and whatever. And on the package side, we didn't have that much. I think it was only 5 NPM packages. And now we have options to seed packages of all types, seed container images, and even seed the license file, which takes time if you need to upload it using the UI.
Nice. There's a lot of thanks here, David. So yeah, thank you very much from myself as well. If anyone else would like to verbalize their thanks, now is a good time, probably.
Thank you, David. That's awesome.
I guess these were pain points for some of you and for me, so that's great. Okay, so on to Nick.
Yeah, mine's just a really minor point. I've just created a small issue for adding the package tags UI to the package list page. So feel free to take a look at it and see what your thoughts are. And I haven't prepared a merge request just yet, but there's some screenshots in the issue as to what that could look like. And yeah, we can discuss on there and move that forward. Over to Nico.
Yeah, so this is a follow up on what we were discussing on the previous week. It seems that now that the holiday crankiness is fading away, the MR review is getting up to speed again. Of course, it's still like partial data, not data of partial impression, because maybe I'm working on small MR, but this is the feeling and impression, and just wanted to report. Since I'm talking, I actually was thinking that maybe we should list that the work that David did around seeding is actually a good contribution for contributors, because now it's much easier to like add code to package, because it's much easier to set up your local environment, right? And over to Tim.
Your last comment dovetails nicely into mine, which is something the runner team is doing to drive more community contributions is holding open office hours. So they have GitLab will tweet out that they're hosting that and try to get contributors to come and join and contribute to issues. So we're gonna set those up for, I think it's mid-February, we have our next GitLab hackathon, and that'll be our first one. And then we'll try and do a monthly after that. So we kind of did this informally with the PHP, the Ocho Rocho, I forget his real name. If you're out there, thank you for that contribution. And we also met with the person who's doing the Terraform registry. So we want to just sort of like get all those people together once a month and have everyone have a chance to like learn from each other and see what can be contributed. So I'm really excited about that. The other thing is I put this in Slack, but just in case people miss Slack, we got our stage dashboard updated with, I think, all of our metrics that are available in there as of right now. So you can go and check it out, and you can see some of the data that we have for different events. We have all the container registry UI and API events, for example. You can see how the API versus the UI works for the container registry. And then we have some of the UI things like copying the NPM or Maven commands. You could see I think we have push and pull events for Conan and NuGet, but we're working on Maven and NPM now. Those look like Steve was working on those last week. So looking forward to adding some more metrics. Oh, and there's an epic that's linked in the dashboard. You could see that has some of the key missing metrics we have, like some of the Docker events, and then some of the container registry enabled is probably like our biggest, consumption, but it's not currently working. I'm working with the data team on that. So we have a separate issue for that, but it's all in the dashboard. If you read the notes, you could read through what we're still working on. And on to Steve.
I just wanted to say congrats to Dan. And for those of you that didn't see the note in the social channel, Dan is either engaged or is participating in a very strange social experiment to see how we react. Congrats, Dan.
I'm not sure about the second one there, Steve. Thank you. This is not a social experiment. Yes, I am engaged. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, I think that's the end of our meeting now. Thanks, everybody. If everyone's good, if we don't have anything else to discuss here, I will stop the recording, and then we could make more silly conversation if people would like, or you could also leave and do whatever you'd like. But thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Those upside down exclamation marks are awesome. And everyone who's following along at home, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day, whatever that looks like. And bye.